Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. This is the regularly scheduled Board of Public Works meeting for February 26th, and I will call the meeting to order. And our first item on the agenda will be to ask our clerk to note the presence of a quorum.
Mayor Willis,
Here.
Chuck Lehman,
Here.
we do have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll move to consideration for the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Those have been posted and are available. Any comment, Mayor?
Well, I wasn't at this meeting, but I did review the minutes and confirmed with the agenda for that meeting. So I'm comfortable in making a motion to approve the minutes from January 22nd, 2025.
I'll second that. Yes, I reviewed them and they seem in order. All those in favor? Say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Okay, we do want to make a note that there is a change to the agenda. There are two items that will be added. The first is a grant of trail easement that has come forward, and I have here, and Jonathan, has that been posted, or we have it, right?
You have a copy of it, correct?
Perfect. And the second one is from Danielle, and it's disposal of public property. So we'll move on to our regular posted agenda items, and then we'll get to those, but they will be added. So our first item for today is item action. It's number 2. It's Bravia Services, City of Westfield, the Westfield Fire Department, Station 85. And after some discussion, this does require a public hearing. So, Jonathan, do you want to tell us about that, or who's going to introduce that?
I would love Chief Gaylor to tell you about that.
Perfect.
Yes,
Steve?
welcome. Rob Gaylor, Westfield Fire Department. So what we have before you is the Station 85 selection. We've opted to use the BOT process, and when we did that, we sent out an RFPQ for qualified vendors. They were ranked and scored, and selection committee has made a recommendation of B&W to build Station 5. If you have any questions, I would call Ken Alexander, sitting behind me, with Bravia Services up to answer those questions.
No questions from my end.
Thank you. No, I have no questions, but we'll note that Mr. Alexander is present. At this time, there is a public hearing requirement, and at 1:04, I will open the public hearing. Anyone here that would like to address this contract, this process, please come forward at this time. Seeing, hearing no one for this item of public interest, I will close the public hearing. Any discussion?
Nothing from my end.
I went over the details, and at this time, I don't have anything. I think we're fine. In respect to the issues, I'll make a motion that we approve the Bravia Services item. We can take action. apologize. We can take action on this today, right, Caitlin?
Yes, that's right. So basically, per the BOT statute, it says that the board awards the public-private agreement to the successful
Right.
offerer, which I believe is outlined in the agreement from Bravia. So
Correct.
that would be the motion to select the offerer that they've recommended.
I make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, item number 3 is the option school, charter school in the city of Westfield, termination of payment in lieu of taxes agreement.
Yeah, so I actually have the lead on this one. It was brought to my attention by a resident of our community who is on the board of directors for Options Charter School, that they had an agreement with the city of Westfield for payment in lieu of taxes. And this was negotiated under the previous administration. Historically, with option schools, we don't see this. You can certainly go down that path, but we were the only city in Hamilton County that I'm aware of that had this kind of agreement in place. I was told by the board from Options Charter that this was the previous administration's agreement based on a conversation they had with Dr. Kaiser and the schools. So I set up a meeting with Dr. Kaiser. We had a quick conversation. He didn't feel this was necessary. He was very supportive of the charter school and the value they bring to our community. And this payment is very taxing for a charter school that's small and doesn't really generate a lot of revenue. So I thought it was the right thing to do to go ahead and terminate this and move on. So that's what you see before you.
Okay. With consideration to that, I will make a motion that we approve the request, the options charter school.
I second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries. The next item is the East Street temporary easement release.
Yeah, so if you recall, several years ago, we constructed East Street extension from 196th Street up through North Point, connecting to State Road 38. As part of that project, we acquired temporary right-of-way easements for staging, slope construction, a variety of things that you acquire temporary easements for, but do not need to retain long-term or in perpetuity. The motion before you is to approve the release of 10 of those temporary easements, which are all the temporary easements we acquired on the project. They are of no more use to us now that the construction is complete. Happy to answer any questions about this agenda item.
Any comment, Mayor?
None.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to release those easements as proposed by Mr. Nail.
I'll second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Moving on, we have a NDOT in the city of Westfield, and it's a local road and bridges matching grant agreement.
So I'll discuss this one. This is actually just correcting a motion from the last meeting. I should have caught it in the moment, but Pat and Kim and I all kind of caught it afterwards, that instead of making a motion to approve the grant agreement, there's a motion to approve a resolution. So you guys have already discussed this, but just for the record, it would be a motion to approve that action item so that it's correct in the record from now on.
So we just need to make a new motion. Okay.
Caitlin, share with us so we don't do this again. We just have to state the motion correctly, is that right?
Yes, last time there was an item after it, there was a resolution, and the motion was to approve resolution XYZ,
Yes.
rather than approve action item 5. So it would just be approve the action item number 5 or the local road and bridges matching grant agreement.
Okay,
Community
considering I was a part of that.
Yes.
I will,
Yes.
I will make a
So it's not-
motion in correction. Is
Thank you.
there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you so much, Caitlin. I should have caught that as well. Item 6, Citizens Water of Westfield and the City of Westfield, a utility reimbursement agreement.
Yeah, so this is related to our Monon Tunnel under 161st Street. I think I've talked about it a little bit before, but Citizens Energy Group has a water main that runs along the south side of 161st Street. I believe it's a 20-inch ductile iron main. It serves much of our western side of the city. With a tunnel being proposed, that water main's in conflict with the tunnel project. We anticipated this. And Citizens is relocating that water main to a 24-inch main and boring underneath of our tunnel, so it will be out of conflict for construction. Because this water main's in an easement that is owned by Citizens Energy Group, it is a reimbursable cost to the city. I'll reiterate that we were fully aware of this going into the project and have budgeted accordingly for this reimbursement. This is the final reimbursement agreement memorializing the terms and the fact that the city will be paying CEG for this relocation. It's in an amount of $1,169,000. Again, this is significantly less than actually what we had budgeted, so that's a good thing for the project. The CEG was able to keep their costs in check, and I would just ask for approval of this reimbursement agreement so that we can keep Citizens moving on that relocation. Happy to answer any questions.
Any question, Mayor?
Nope, I'll make a motion to approve Citizens Water of Westfield and City of Westfield Utility Reimbursement Agreement.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7 is adoption of a proposed request for proposals for residential solid waste, yard waste, recycling, and collection disposal.
So,
Danielle?
yeah, so Danielle Carey Tolan for the record. We are going out for a RFP on our waste management, trash removal. Our contract with Waste Management ends in December, so we're getting ahead of the game on getting that out there. Any questions? John Rogers is the one that put the RFP together, can answer more details to that.
And I can add a few statutory things. This setup is a little newer, so you can actually follow the Public Works bidding process, but we're going under the new RFP process. So basically, you, as the board, adopt a proposed RFP, and we issue a public notice. People can submit comments on it for 30 days, so it'll come back to you, and you'll issue a final RFP. So you'll see another RFP, but that will incorporate any comments that the administration gets. Then it's a typical RFP, we get proposals, and the law states that you all have to select a respondent via resolution. So this will come back to you a few times for official action. This is just the initial proposed RFP, the first step.
Interesting. Cool. Danielle, just looking into the past, how long have we had the current services? Years, right?
Decade, yeah. Yeah, with Waste Management. Well, it was Ray's.
Right. It's been through a transition, but the
Correct.
same
Same.
vendor,
Yeah, same
basically.
vendor. Yep, for over a decade. Mhm.
I assume that we'll have other interest.
I'm assuming so. We have seen that in other communities. Multiple recipients and vendors come in, so I think we'll get a good response.
Yeah, should be all positive, hopefully. Good. Considering that, we need to adopt this or approve it today. I will make a motion on action item number 7, the adoption of the proposed request.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That passes. We'll move to action item number 8, and it's a Christopher B. Burke Engineering LLC in the city of Westfield for some stormwater services.
Good afternoon, Wes Root,
Wes,
Stormwater
thank
Coordinator
you.
with the City of Westfield. In front of you, you have a professional services proposal for Christopher Burke Engineering for some continued on-call stormwater services. A few of the notable line items or efforts that we're looking for this year would be some continuation of some dry weather screening, annual report collection, and a potential audit preparation for MCMs 4 and 5. And that's maybe unknown, but we want to make sure that we're prepared for a potential audit with the state. That dollar amount is not to exceed $45,000. And historically, we've used Christopher Burke for this on-call services for the last several years. So, if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
I have no questions.
No questions.
I will make a motion to approve action item number 8.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Thank you. Thanks, Wes. We'll move to action item number 9. It's a resolution group in the city of Westfield for 25 compliance assistant for stormwater and professional services.
In Wes Root, Stormwater Coordinator, City of Westfield. In front of you, you have an additional stormwater professional services proposal. If you recall, in 2023, we partnered with Resolution Group to conduct overall site inspections for erosion and sediment control. The state's requirement is that we hit 100% of all of our sites within the first 60 days for an inspection process to stay in compliance. Those efforts went pretty well. We didn't do anything in 2024, but I think in preparation for this year's construction season, we find that it might be important to continue those efforts again with Resolution Group. Again, this is a not to exceed amount of $38,500. And if you have any additional questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve action item number 9 for resolution group.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Let's go to action item number 10. It's eImagine Technology Group in the city of Westfield.
Good afternoon, Christopher Larson, Department of Informatics. Before you is a statement of work for a 1-year agreement with eImagine. They are our 24/7 support for our CRM environment, which currently we use for 311 requests, for like pothole service requests, building permits, building inspections. So if we ever have an issue with the system or want to make changes to it, they are our partner. They've been our partner for many years, and the threshold of the statement of work has increased to an amount that it has to be brought before you guys for approval. But this is normally budgeted for every year in the IT budget. Any questions?
I have no questions. Assume you're familiar with it.
I am, yep. I'll make a motion to approve action item 10, eImagine Technology Group in the city of Westfield Statement of Work Service Agreement.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Action item number 10 passes. We'll move to 11, Indiana Sign and Barricade and the city of Westfield. Contract for paving striping.
Yep, for the record, Michael Pierce, City Engineer with Public Works. So this item before you is a simple goods and services contract with Indiana Sign and Barricade for our road restriping project. So we opened bids on this project on February 7th. Indiana Sign and Barricade was the lower of the two bidders we got on that. Happy to report both of those came in under engineer's estimate and under budget, even though this is a much more robust program than we've had in the past. Typically, our contracts have been around 130 to 150,000. This year, we've elevated that quite a bit to 275,000. So we're hoping to hit more of our roadways this year with our restriping program. So this contract would allow us to move forward with that, and the completion date on that is September 12th. So the goal would be to restripe all of the roads that need that before that September 12th date. So happy to answer any questions with that.
I got a comment. I always forget to mention this to you, but as I drive to Grand Park almost on a daily basis, it seems like, on 191st Street heading west from Grassy Branch, when you approach that roundabout by Emmy, at one time we had that all striped off as a one-lane merge into the roundabout. I'm not really sure why we do that, but I'd love to see, unless there's a reason why we only allow one lane coming in. When it's a two-lane roundabout, getting those restriction stripes removed to allow traffic to flow through that area just a little bit better.
Well, I actually have a great response to that. I'd like to say I planned it, but we're actually resurfacing that roundabout this year. And so we had planned to restripe that whole roundabout to 2 lanes through there.
You can thank me later for that
Absolutely.
softball I just threw.
Exactly.
Almost like we pre-planned that. That's amazing.
Yeah, we were coordinate that actually, but there's a lot of confusion on it. Some people use it, some people don't. I try not to, but sometimes I get behind that slow person, I just can't take it anymore. I jump into that little striped area and off we go.
Take notes, Billy.
Yeah, Billy, stay away from that intersection at 5:30 in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's the only question I had.
I have similar now that I'm thinking about it. At 151st, under 31, it's on the corner of the McDonald's there. I think that that's one of our really, that corner, when you're going west and you turn to go south, that's not marked very well.
Agreed. That is on
I mean,
that's on our list.
I've seen metal hitting metal at
guys
that
are
place.
good.
I can personally attest because I used to go home from work that way quite a bit, and I would say about 50% of the time, as you're making those dual lefts to go south, the inner lane doesn't realize that it's dual lefts.
They're always in the
Right.
other lane.
Right.
So,
So that is on our list. I can confirm
good,
that. So.
cool. I don't know if it'll do any good to restripe, but at least we can then blame them because they should have seen.
I'll make a motion. I'll excitedly make a motion to approve action item number 11, Indiana Sign Barricade Incorporating the City of Westfield contract for 2025 pavement striping project.
And a great second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes. Thank you so much, Michael. Appreciate it. Action item number 12, signing authority for a 25 concrete street patching project. It's another hurrah.
Yep. And I'm back for this one. So this is for concrete patching in our concrete street subdivisions. So currently we have 2 large subdivisions, Westfield Farms and Bridlewood, that are concrete, as well as Bokeelia Bend, that's up near Chatham. So this is for signing authority for a contract. We opened quotes on that on Friday to select a contractor for that project. So this is just a signing authority. So allows John to sign that contract once we get our quotes back on that. So the idea is that most of this work this year would be in the Bridlewood subdivision. That's one of the larger ones, and probably from a condition standpoint, one of the worst that we have. So we want to address those streets primarily this year.
Thank you.
Nope.
I'll make a motion to approve action item number 12, giving assigning authority.
I will second that motion.
All in favor? Aye. You and I?
Same time you did.
Gotcha.
It was like perfect sync.
Okay, perfect, good. Okay, we have some resolutions for consideration. Item 13 is a resolution 25-104. It's a resolution of the City of Westfield and the Board of Public Works and Safety adopting a written policy establishing the procedures that apply to a member's participation in a board meeting by electronic means of communication. And just a comment as we consider that, I think today we have two here, one missing, that this would amend that, right?
So I'll take this one. There was a period at the beginning of COVID when basically everyone could participate electronically. That was changed in 2021. And it says that board members can participate electronically in certain circumstances. For example, there still has to be a quorum here, so only one person could participate electronically. But to do that, you have to adopt a written policy. So what's before you truly just reflects the statute, and it's the same things that the Parks Board, the Council, the BZA, the APC. I wouldn't be surprised if this board had adopted it, but it's not in the records, so we wanted to get it on file just in case. This just complies with the law, and if you read through it, you have to be seen to vote, a quorum has to be here in person. There's lots of regulations, but this would just conform with the law and allow someone to call in and attend electronically.
And this mirrors what we have with city council.
Yes, exactly. Happy to answer any questions.
Caitlin, thank you for the explanations, all reasonable. I will make a motion that we adopt Resolution 25-104.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. That will make it a little more efficient. Moving to Resolution 25-105. It's a resolution accepting a donation of real property interests.
So for the record, Danielle Carey Tolan before you is a resolution to accept a donation of real estate property. This is a small sliver for Station 84. This is about 4/10 of an acre just behind our current existing property. This was just an additional sliver that we needed from the gentleman that lives behind there just for runoff and just a few other items, but nothing major. It's being donated by, is that CDC? Lauren? Right, it's from CDC. So CDC has already acquired it, and we're just taking it over.
Anything?
Nope.
I'll make a motion that we adopt Resolution 25-105.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Danielle. Is that, for clarification, is that the item that you had added? We still have the two added
No,
ones,
we still
right?
have two more
Okay, so
items,
we're
yeah.
going to move to those. We've completed what has been on the agenda as proposed, but we have the two additionals. So I'm going to move to Jonathan, and you had a request for some trail easement?
Correct, yeah. So I've mentioned in the past, the 161st and Spring Mill roundabout project. We have a trail gap between just north of the Kroger gas station up to Countryside Boulevard that crosses the John Edwards Drain. We put together a design for a pedestrian bridge over that stream to allow us to construct a trail to fill in that trail gap. We've bundled that with the 161st and Spring Mill roundabout construction project, so all the construction will take place roughly the same time under one construction contract. This action item before you is just the acceptance of a trail easement that was dedicated by the Countryside HOA to allow us to construct that trail kind of following where my cursor is, and make that trail connection. They donated it at no cost to the city, and this just memorializes the acceptance of that trail easement from the Countryside HOA. Any questions?
Yeah, John, so will that bridge over that creek be golf cart compatible?
It will. It'll match. It will be golf cart compatible from like a structural capacity. It's a fairly short span. The width is such that 2 golf carts passing would be very difficult. I believe our current trail in that location is 8 feet wide. It's a 10-foot wide typical section on that bridge. So if 2 golf carts were trying to pass each other, they'd need to kind of look ahead and wait for one to go and the other one could go. But structurally, yes, absolutely, it's acceptable for a golf cart to be on that.
Probably need to put that on our radar screen for maybe some signage, special signage around, 1 golf cart per time type thing.
Yeah.
If the golf court ordinance is expanded.
I think what we'll do is probably do an audit of any ped bridges in our network like that when we move forward on that golf cart ordinance, and there will be a sign package as a part of that.
Great, thank you.
Within this, could we say that we need to complete holes in the trails citywide? I'm just kidding.
Well, hey, we are constantly trying to fill some of those trail gaps, and obviously one of the things that the reason there are trail gaps in our network in a lot of cases is because we don't have the right of way or the land use rights to put a trail there. And so as communities step up and donate trail easements to us, it makes it a lot easier and a lot more cost effective for the city to fill these gaps. So I'm appreciative of the Countryside HOA for donating it.
Right. And whatever we can do to, tell them that we're happy for that and ask those other ones to donate as well.
We will certainly get the word out.
Okay, I will make a motion that we pass and adopt the grant of trail easement as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor, signify by aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Aye, sorry.
Fine. Okay, moving to our second item for addition, we will give the mic to Danielle.
Yes, for the record, Danielle Carey-Tolan. Before you is a resolution declaring surplus property disposal. So we are going through a slight remodel at City Services, and because of that, we have a large amount of office furniture and workout equipment that we would like to dispose of. Everything from chairs to credenzas to tables, just a plethora of things that are just no longer needed. The furniture is quite dated, and we are expanding our staff significantly, so we're having to get some new furniture to accommodate more people in more offices. And then the workout equipment as well. We are going to be using that space that currently has workout equipment for additional office space in the future. So and it's dated, and that workout equipment was donated to us by the schools years ago. So it's old, metal, heavy stuff.
Danielle used to work out on that
I
equipment
did.
when she went to Westfield
When
High
I went to
School.
Westfield, It probably
Yeah,
did.
actually, that was the first generation of weight equipment, wasn't it?
Probably was. So it was. The only thing that we do ask, when we did write this, we said that, most of this stuff is worthless and not of any value. But since we've added the workout equipment, we would like to amend Section 3 on the Indiana Code to be 5-22-22-6, and that would allow us to sell or auction the equipment to staff or others. So Caitlin can address that, because there is a little bit of value to that, and we have had staff ask about the workout equipment.
Sure, so basically, as written, it basically says we shall get rid of the property in this way, which would be demolish it. So when we looked through it, some of it may provide a little value, and there's Indiana code that says that all these items are less than $5,000, you can sell them at a public or private sale. It doesn't have to be an official auction or publicizing anything. So we think it would be worthwhile just to note that so that we don't have to demolish property that someone may want for a few $100s.
And I'll just reiterate that we are not buying new furniture for the sake of new furniture. This is a strategic plan to try to extend the life of our current city services building, and accommodating the growth and the new employees that we have. Right now, we've got some employees triple or quadruple stacked in a room, and the big bulky executive style furniture that is probably original to the building, it just doesn't fit. So we're getting smaller desks, workspaces, cubes, those kinds of things to maximize the space.
So for this, if you do want to approve, as we discussed, I would just make a motion to approve the resolution with the amendments as we discussed in the meeting, so that I can make those quick changes.
Perfect. So this is a resolution, and what is the number that will be?
It's 5-22-22-6.
-22?
Oh, that's the code,
What's the
sorry.
resolution?
Oh, the resolution number is 2508, 108.
108.
It's 108, right? Okay,
Thank you.
yes.
With the explanations and consideration, I will make a motion that we approve Resolution 25-108.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. So we are moving, do we have anything under permit approval? Nothing at this time? Anything in consent agenda?
Yeah, there is a February bond information in the consent agenda for approval.
As presented, right?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will second that motion. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Let's move to department reports. Chief?
Good afternoon, Rob Gaylor, Westfield Fire Department. January report, we actually went up in call volume comparatively to last year. So when we look at our incidents, we're 452 for the month of January, and in '24, we're at 443. The split on that is very consistent, 67% medical and 33 or so percent dealing with fire. Say that for the month that our average response time for all runs in the whole district, we're right at 6 minutes flat. And January, like I said, was busy. We averaged over 15 responses a day. Again, the turnout time from the time the bells go off till the men and women get on the apparatus and start responding, 1 minute and 13 seconds. Total of over 1,000 times that we had apparatus on the street responding to calls. Up a little bit compared to '24, as I said. A couple things that we did new this year. In January, we put in a new company, that Ladder 84, which is a new ladder company for the district. Gives us 2 ladder companies, and it's actually running out of the police station, the Dartown site right now. And new, we didn't have that in '24, so in '25, as we start going through month by month, you're going to see that 84 started taking some calls. And where you see is the district of 84, that is not necessarily the number of calls that the ladder went on, but the number of calls that were in that area dedicated to District 4. By and large, since we put it in service and it's one company, it actually took 89 responses in January. which is more than ladder 1 on the Ditch Road site took. They took 55, but point out an error on this. I'm working on the planning chief to get his stuff corrected, but we didn't have 301 overpressure or explosion events in the city in January. It was 0, so there's a typo there. But 301 EMS calls, and then the other breakdowns are correct. False alarms, residential false alarms were up. January was a little colder. I don't know if that had something to do with batteries and smoke detectors, or people coming back from vacation and forgetting the door codes. Stuff like that is typically what we respond to when it comes to the residential alarms. However, the commercial alarm incidents were what I would say a little less than average. Usually the two numbers are pretty similar, but for the month of January, we only had 18 commercial business false alarm call types. So very pleased with that. Mutual aid stats. This is always interesting. I think that the mayor is paying attention to these. How many times are we sending units in district and out of district and relying on others? And so we received EMS aid 13 times in January, but we actually gave aid 16 times. And there's the breakdown on the jurisdictions that we both give and receive. To the emergency management one, I was trying to look and figure out what that one was, and the only thing that I can remember is we had a Project Lifesaver call, missing persons, and so the emergency management department has some drones and some things like that they tend to assist on those calls. So I'm trying to dig into that one a little more because that was an outlier, at least in my mind. On the fire side, again, we're giving more aid than we're receiving. 3 times we received aid from outside agencies, and then 10 times in total that we rendered aid to those around us. And then when we look at our healthcare facilities in the district, we're actually making headway. We're down comparatively versus 2024 numbers. And we still have some things to make up here, but it was 14.8% of all of our calls were to care facilities, and we're right along that 22% of the EMS runs were to care facilities. I actually took some notes and broke it down on the call types, and I've got it broken down by each facility, and most of these calls were for sick people. We do have some there that I'm happy to announce that our community paramedic, Walter Rippey, who started in February, actually has a meeting with some management folks at some of the care facilities next week, and starting our education again on a repeated basis with these facilities. But again, I want to touch on overall our response to these facilities, January of 24 to January of 25, we've gotten better. Happy to answer any questions you have.
So Rob, where are we at with the legislative piece that we talked about?
So the legislative piece, Caitlin actually has got some things drafted. We reached out to some other folks around to get some input. What do you have? What have you seen across the country, and how does that look? Working on some language things. The way it's written, and Caitlin and I have been going back and forth. Do we really want to call it a nuisance run, or is there some other verbiage that kind of is less subjective and to the point? Is where we're at with that. But we have a piece, and Caitlin and I were actually talking about it today. Once we get that language kind of finalized, then we'll have something to present.
Okay. Chuck, for your visibility, we're making a lot of runs to nursing homes and assisted living facilities. Quite frankly, doing things on the taxpayer dollar that should be handled at those local facilities. So we're looking to implement an ordinance that will allow us to charge a fee to those organizations that we make those run-ins to, for example, pick up a patient that's not injured but has fallen and they don't want the liability or they don't have the staffing to safely pick that patient up. So it's little things like that. We're spending a lot of time, energy, and money running into these facilities, and we just need to rein that in. It's been an ongoing problem for decades, and Rob's team will ratchet up the pressure and it will get better, but eventually it slips back to where it was. So we want to support them, but the taxpayer shouldn't bear that burden either.
It's sensitive. I mean, it's a difficult situation at best. I'm familiar with one or two on the list, and you see a lot of activity, and we got to work it. A quick question.
Yeah.
Those are six facilities, right?
Correct.
How does that compare with other cities our size?
It's not really a fair comparison. Obviously, there are some cities that have less and some cities that have more. I will say that what is similar is the workload that we're responding on and the number of calls to these facilities versus EMS calls. That's pretty standard that everyone else is seeing that I've spoken to. But as far as numbers, there was a moratorium for a few years a while back, not allowing these facilities to come in. And since then, there's been some smaller communities or communities our size that have actually started to build and add on. So kind of a very political answer, but there's not really a per capita, if you will, on.
Yeah, we go back and compare the runs to each facility, not how many we have.
Right.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Next, the police.
Billy the Kid. Where's Chief Keenan at?
Good
Is he
afternoon.
on vacation or in his office
No,
drinking
he's in today.
coffee?
He's putting in
or-
good work. Putting in good work, Mayor. For the record, Billy Adams, Westfield Police Department. I will be brief. Nothing super significant on our numbers. The previous month, point out one only significant increase on our UCR numbers were thefts. That's not uncommon this time of year. Things such as more work layoffs in the winter, financial strain due to the holidays. You tend to see crimes such as theft tick upward during these months, so that's not uncommon. The only other significant increase I would point out is our crash data for this month. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. So this time compared to previous months, but again, comparing to last year, far more significant weather this year, which would be a causation for those crashes to increase. As far as the department, a couple updates that I'll just cover. All of our sworn officers that started at the beginning of the year have moved on to their field training phases. They'll be in that phase anywhere from 8 to 16 weeks, depending on their previous experience when they were hired, as they were all lateral officers when they were hired. Our community service officer position also started in January. He's fully onboarded and out on his own now, taking calls, doing great things for the community. We've already gotten a lot of community feedback from that position. Great asset to the community, and he's out there doing good things for that. This week at the police department is one of our mandatory training weeks for the agency. This week, the entire agency is covering a lot of our less lethal weapon options. So our taser, which everybody's probably pretty familiar with, they did roll out a brand new platform. So it's a full new model. So the entire agency has to be retrained on that, on how to use it. To include, we've also just introduced this year a pepper ball option that the entire agency has to be trained on as an option to use that weapon system. So they're going through that this week. All sworn officers will get that done. All good options that add tools to us to be able to use and do our job. That's all I have, unless you have questions.
I've got a couple questions. This may not be the best setting for it, but it pops in my head and I got your attention. So do we have any updates on that accident yesterday at Spring Mill Station with the mother and young child?
I do not have any updates on that, no.
What was that?
We had a pedestrian vehicle
I
accident.
know it was a mother and a 4-month-old child crossing Spring Mill Depot. I believe a vehicle turning off Spring Mill struck her.
Yeah, they're both in ICU, I think, last night. Rob, do you have an update on it?
Wow. I was not aware of that.
Partially. I did speak with the paramedics that were out there on scene and our FRP. And the big thing was the mother was carrying the baby in like a papoose around her chest. And the mom took the brunt of the impact, but when she fell, she landed chest down on the baby. And so the baby did have some abrasions on their head, but there was no what we would call crepitus or anything that we would feel to say a skull fracture or anything like that. So that is the information that I got about the crash, but I don't have like a patient update or a patient report. I can.
Keep me in the loop on it, just because it's, obviously a very tragic incident.
What does our year look like for Grand Park for attendance? I mean, what do we anticipate? Like anything different this year, do you think, with attendance? Is it up, more activity? How does that impact public safety?
I would say going into the year, we may be a little lighter than years past just because of the uncertainty of what's happening at Grand Park. But from what I'm hearing from GPSC and some of the things they're pursuing, they could quickly close that gap. And then you throw in Live, which is going to have some impacts on parking and other things that I imagine it's going to be another busy year for them.
Yeah, I think, as the mayor stated, going into the year, the schedule's a little lighter on smaller events, but there's some bigger events on the radar that are going to cause a little more planning on our part.
Oh, I know what my second question was. Where are we at with the public safety agreement, public safety facility agreement? Has that been sent back to the county?
We're in final review right now, and it will be sent to the county here soon.
When?
Actually, you'll need to see it first before it gets sent to the county.
Exactly. When can I expect that? I get texts all the time from these guys. I know their lack of preparation doesn't constitute an emergency on our part, but we do have bats in the area, and we certainly benefit from that project getting off the ground sooner rather than later, so. I put you guys on the spot. Let me know. We can do that offline.
Yes, I can talk to you offline if that's okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Thank
Any
you,
other
Bill.
questions?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for consideration today?
I'll throw in a Public Works update while we're at it. So a couple of updates on some projects that went to bid since we last met. So we excited to announce that we opened bids for our 2025 resurface package. The way we do that with our community crossings funding, we have a base bid that we feel fairly confident will come in under the engineer's estimate within our community crossings allowance. And then we add several alternatives to add additional streets to that bid. The contractors provide bid amounts for the base plus all the alternatives that we have in the bid package. We opened those bids, and the base bid plus all 4 alternatives were under our engineer's estimate. So a very successful result on our 2025 resurface package. We also opened bids for 151st in Town roundabout. That one came in approximately $400,000 under the engineer's estimate, so another very successful bid. And we also had a 161st and Spring Mill roundabout pre-con meeting this morning with our contractor on that project to kind of nail down scope and work towards getting construction underway for that project. So another good milestone there. And then lastly, on the street department side, we're certainly shifting our focus. Although snow is still possible, certainly, as we all know in Indiana, we are shifting our focus towards potholes and other spring activities on the street department. We've had a lot of freeze-thaw cycles over the winter, and so our roads are reflecting that right now. I know Michael and his team are on their toes trying to make sure we're staying up on our asset management stuff. So excited about the bid results. I talked to a couple contractors. I think we've had a streak of 7 or 8 straight bid openings where we've been significantly under the engineer's estimate. It sounds like in the industry, NDOT's program with the large interstate projects is slowing down. And so those contractors are getting more aggressive on local projects like ours. So we'll take advantage of that as long as we can.
Thank you. 161st, the roundabout, is that construction this year?
It is, yeah. So there'll be some utility relocation work from now until about May 1st, and then May 1st is the tentative closure for the actual roundabout construction. And then the way the contract's written, that will be back open before the 4th of July, according to the contract. All of that, of course, is weather dependent and utility relocation dependent, but that's
So-
the current schedule.
60 to 90 days?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That'll be a big one.
Yes, it will.
Anything else?
Nope, nothing from mine.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
In favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.